They are known as the Riace bronzes. They are what Stefano Mariottini found on the seabed. Now displayed in Reggio on the southernmost tip of Italy, they're relatively unknown to the world at large. And yet, I'm not alone in believing that nowhere on Earth can you see sculpture as astounding as this.
I have seen a lot of statues in my time, and from all over the world, but nothing quite matches these in terms of skill and execution. I'm not one to gush, but if you pressed me, I'd have to come out with it, that these are absolutely the best statues ever made.
As many modern sculptors are embarrassed to admit, this quality of craftsmanship, this subtlety of detail, is impossible to achieve today. It is genuinely hard to believe that these were made not just before the Italian Renaissance, but 2,000 years before. Inspired by the rules of Polyclitus, the arrangement of the limbs, the direction of the head and chest, make them seem alive. In fact, at first glance, they appear to be as realistic a representation of the human body as you could hope to find.
But then, when you look again, you realize that there's something not quite right. Yes, it resembles a human being, very much so. But in fact, it's not anatomically possible for a man, however athletic, to look like this.
Polyclitus did indeed want to divide the sections of the body clearly, but here it's been taken to extremes. The division between top and bottom has been exaggerated by a crest of muscle across the waist that's more defined than it ever could be on a real human. The legs have been made artificially long to match perfectly the length of the upper body. To stress the symmetry and separation of the two sides, there's an implausibly deep groove running up the center of the chest. And while the chest muscles are totally relaxed, the muscles on the back are tense and impossibly well defined. The central channel of the spine is deeper than you'd ever see on a real human. And to improve the line of their back, these men have no coccyx bone at the base of their spine. These are unrealistic bodies. Reality's been exaggerated. And that's why they're so overwhelming. The instinct to do this had been alive in the brains of early humans and had now been revived. The first civilization capable of realism had used exaggeration to go further. And it's that instinct which still dominates our world today.
This is the answer to our mystery. This is why the bodies in our modern world look the way they do. The reality is, we humans don't like reality. The shared biological instinct to prefer carefully exaggerated images links us inexorably with our ancient ancestors. And yet, what we choose to exaggerate is where the science gets left behind. That's where the magic comes in.
The ancient Greeks cared about physical perfection. So did Michelangelo. He too created unrealistic bodies that were more than human. As cultural values changed, what artists chose to exaggerate about the body changed too. Impressionists exaggerated light and colour rather than shape, to express more than realism ever could. As modern society became more culturally diverse, what we exaggerated changed further. And the instinct is still alive today. The art of caricature is fueled by it. It's what draws us to the extremes of human form. Catwalk models possess what our minds register as impossible proportions. Clothing and marketing images do the same, capture us by exaggerating qualities that we regard as important. And in the digital age, we feed this desire, exaggerating shapes and removing features that in earlier societies were themselves exaggerated. In our own cults of the body beautiful, we even do it to ourselves, spending billions exaggerating those features we regard as attractive. The world changes, and in time we may, as the Egyptians did, suppress this desire to exaggerate. But until then, we'll continue what our ancient ancestors began 30,000 years ago.